Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Ausra.
Let's start episode 88 of Ask Vidas and Ausra podcast. Today's question was sent by Daniel. He writes, Hi Vidas, in my church in Watertown, South Dakota, I have two organists whom I don't think ever got trained to be church organists. I can tell that very easily because their way of playing hymns sound tired and funeral-like. They have been with my church for a long time, longer than I. I got really tired of listening to them playing hymns. So what I do is sometimes I go to another church as a guest musician to play music there. And sometimes when that church has no need for me, I attend the contemporary service. In order to understand what I'm saying, you and Osha may need to sometime come to my church and listen to those organists. They also don't play background music during prayer time, which as a result the prayer time sounds empty and meaningless. There were several people, including me, who complained about one of the organists. Have you and Osha encountered such organist in your area? What do you think, Osha?
Oh, yes.
What's the situation with church organists in Lithuania in general?
Well, now it's maybe changing a little bit, but in most churches, almost all churches, we don't have professional organists playing for church services. So you can find all kind of variety in the church.
Because of course Lithuania Academy of Music now has graduates, I don't know how many, 40, 50, maybe 80 graduates over decades, right? And a lot of them stay in Vilnius and work in churches here in this area.
But
So
actually, only few works in churches
so in
out of
general
them.
in the capital the situation is much better than in provinces,
Yes.
right?
But in the province, as long as we, encounter it, there are sometimes like music teachers from like high schools, local high schools, that play organ for church services, so you can find all kind of funny things and hear all kind of funny things.
And we have to be fair. There are a number of people who are good organists even when they are amateurs, never
Sure.
trained. They try to improve all the time. There are a number of those, but they're not in the majority, I would say.
Yes.
What's the funniest thing when you heard them play was?
Well, there was that nun, in Tituveni,
Uh-huh.
and it was Eastern time, and Catholics, have these long answers of Alleluia around Eastern time.
At the end of the mass.
At the end of the mass, yes, and it was so funny when she tried with her one finger to play that answer on the organ and to sing it, and it was out of tune with wrong notes and with big pauses in the middle of it, and it was just so funny.
So in Latin it would be like Deo gratias, Alleluia, and ite missa est. I think
Yes,
the priest says Alleluia in singing, in chanting, and the organist or the choir has to respond.
to respond. Yes,
Usually in Lithuanian, of course, like go the mass is ended. Basically, it translates Alleluia, and they respond thanks be to the Lord, Alleluia.
yes,
And she was completely lost.
I know, and it was so hilariously funny. I think it's not nice to laugh, out loud in church, but that's what I did in my mind.
Um, Another joke we always like to tell is that I think somebody told us that it's a apparently real thing that some village organists play white keys on weekdays and black keys on Sundays and festivities. Can you imagine what this sound like?
Yes.
it's a real thing sometimes. So basically what they think is, oh, black keys are more advanced, so I basically reserve them for festivities and Sundays, and regular weekdays I will play just white notes.
I don't know. I think that's quite normal because if you cannot make living from playing organ, in your town, and you have to do other jobs as well, and maybe a few more jobs, in order to keep yourself and your family, so you cannot spend much time on practicing organ and improving yourself. So that's just too bad. That's the result we have. But definitely there are awkward choice of repertoire while listening to the organ in church. You know, poor technique, very slow tempos, and as there was in the question a mark about silence, during prayer time,
Yeah.
no background music. So that's in our situation in Lithuania, very often priests requires to have complete silence for prayer time, and does not allow any music to sound in
Mm-hmm.
that moment. So I don't know if that's the situation, in that case, but that's what we have in Lithuania.
Yeah, sometimes in Catholics they like to contemplate and meditate in complete
Yes,
silence. But remember you played in Holy Cross Church once where your priest was willing to hear some meditative chants, maybe hymns, towards the end of the uh, prayer time.
yes, I remember
Did you
that.
sing something or play solo music?
I think I sang something.
Uh-huh. Adoration.
Yes,
Hmm. Okay, so guys, I think situation is always different in different parts of the world, and I would say that if we went, as Daniel says, to his church in South Dakota, that would be really interesting to hear. By the way, we would definitely go to Vermilion, right?
yes, that's an excellent museum. So if you are close to that area, definitely go to visit it.
If you if you are basically in any kind of um, part of Midwest and you have some time, several hours drive, or go to South Dakota,
Yes.
Vermilion, small town in the middle of that. We were in winter time. It was very snowy and cold, but they have what they have. Tell us.
Well, that music instrument museum is just, outstanding. It's one of the best in the world. You can, see variety of harpsichords, organs, string instruments. Like we have one hall where you can see for like five Stradivarius.
Violins
Yes, violins and guitars.
and organs and clavichords and
Yes,
harpsichords
it is just amazing.
from all
And
ages.
wind instruments as well. So it's just amazing collection of musical instruments. And actually, I think we went on Friday, if I remember correctly, and we have lunch recitals on Friday. Brown bag, you know, lunch recitals. So
Uh-huh.
you can just pick up and take your lunch,
And eat
in a
during
brown
recital.
bag and eat during recital.
I've,
And it's very fun.
did we eat something during the music or not? Or later?
I don't remember now. Maybe we ate something.
Excellent. That was a great time. Our professors from UNL, from University of Nebraska Lincoln, George Ritchie and Quentin Faulkner, took us with the van, I think, from the university, took entire organ studio for
I think we had
two cars,
two vans.
two
Yes.
vans. Basically, field trip to the Music Instrument Museum. And the importance of this museum can be described in just one sentence. Imagine that what Smithsonian Museum wanted to uh, buy entire collection and transfer it to Washington, but Vermilion didn't let it, right? Local people wanted to have it right there and said, if you want to visit those instruments, you have to come to Vermilion.
That's a nice thing. I don't think everything must be concentrated like in capitals or, like largest cities.
So I hope Daniel has visited many times this entire fantastic museum and has sat in a brown bag lunch recitals. And if not, maybe he can do that in the future. And hopefully the organists are better than in his church and can play not only white keys but also black keys on weekdays as well.
Yes.
Wonderful, guys. Please send us more of your questions. We love helping you grow. And this was Vidas.
And Ausra,
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.